Hi and welcome friends. If this is your first time here, my name is Tiffany and I'm the International Witch. Today I'm going to be working on my June bullet journal layout, and as always I'm going to be using my Rêverie journal by Mellow. This journal has made it through a year and a half, but this is going to be my final layout in this journal. Next month I will have to start a new journal. For all of my outlines today, I'm going to be using the Micron 01, and to fill in everything else, I'm going to be using my STA Pigment Liner in the brush and also the 0.3. The STA Pigment Liners are not waterproof, they're only water resistant, so I'll use the Micron on the outlines. The paintbrushes that I'm going to be using today are both number 3 rounds. You'll see why I have to swap later on. For my watercolors today, the main colors are going to be Payne's Gray, Van Dyke Brown, and Olive Green, all of which come from Winsor and Newton paints. I will be dabbling in a little bit of ultramarine blue, violet, Alizarin crimson, and cadmium yellow, but not in enough quantities to really list those. They're just additions. You can really substitute for anything you want. With it being summer now here in the Northern Hemisphere, I was inspired by the sea for this month. I'm sure you can tell by the thumbnail, but I am going to be working on the Scottish water spirit known as the Kelpie. And right here is where you see why I needed to change my brush. Luckily, I was able to dab it away, and it was so early in the process that I was able to cover it up very easily. Now, like many myths and folklore throughout the world, there are different variations and hundreds of different stories of the Kelpie that changes depending on the region that you encounter them. For example, in Shetland, they call them the Nuggle or the Shuppelty. In Orkney, they call them the Tangi. So what exactly is a Kelpie? Well, according to Scottish folklore, a Kelpie is a beautiful horse, and it lures its victims by simply being as beautiful as possible. And once the victim touches the horse or tries to get on the horse then becomes almost like glue or tar, where the victim is unable to remove their hand, and then the Kelpie drags them under the water and devours them. So not only are they beautiful, but they are also very deadly. It is said that once you are under the water, you can see the Kelpie's true form, and he is said to have sharp teeth, with some stories even saying his teeth are like those of a shark. One of the most common tales about the Kelpie involves children, probably as a way to warn kids from being too close to the edge of open water. But as the story goes, a group of children, some gave it a specific number of 9, but others just said a large group of children, were near the water when they saw the beautiful horse. Of course, the horse encouraged them to come near and to ride, and as each child piled upon his back seemed to stretch, and more children could fit on there. But one child stayed near the bank. When all the children save one had climbed upon the horse's back, the one on the shore walked towards the nuzzle and placed his hand gently upon his face, only to then discover that he could not remove his hand. In horror, the young boy chopped off his hand to dislocate himself from the horse, and the horse plunges under the water with all of the other children on his back. The little boy then runs to the village to gather his parents, but all they ever find of the children are the entrails that wash upon the shore. Just like the many different colors and varieties that we encounter today of horses, there were many different types of Kelpies. Some were gray, some were dappled, some were jet black. The Kelpie of River Spray was said to be pure white, and they lured their victims by singing beautiful songs. The Kelpie of Aberdeenshire is said to have a mane of serpents similar to a gorgon. Kelpies are also known to be shapeshifters, with one of their shapes being the water horse, similar to the Capricorn symbol that we know from the zodiac today, with one half being horse and the other half being fish. Another one of the Kelpie's forms is that of a handsome young man. All Kelpies, according to the historic folklore, are male, and they come ashore every once in a while and take on the guise of a human male in order to find a partner, a mate. But if you're very smart and you pay close attention, then he'll always give himself away. There's always something unusual about this handsome young man that gives away the fact that he's a Kelpie. For some stories, it's the hooves that are still in place instead of human feet. For other stories, it's a subtle piece of seaweed that is still caught somewhere in his hair. One such tale of the Kelpie bridegroom actually comes from Bara. There's a tale of one specifically lonely Kelpie that transforms itself into a handsome young man to woo a beautiful girl he wanted to take for his wife. But this young woman is smart, and she recognizes the young man as a Kelpie due to the small bit of seaweed tucked behind his ear. She removes his silver necklace, which was his bridle, while he sleeps, and the Kelpie immediately reverts to his true form. The girl then takes the Kelpie home to her father's farm, where it is put to work for a year. At the end of that time, the girl rides the Kelpie to consult a wise man, who tells her to return the silver necklace. When the Kelpie is transformed once again to his beautiful human guise, the wise man then asks the Kelpie if it would choose to be a Kelpie or a mortal. The Kelpie, in turn, asks the woman if she would agree to be his wife should he stay a human. She says yes, after which the Kelpie chooses to become a mortal man, and the pair are married and live happily ever after. The only recorded instance of a Kelpie being a woman actually comes from Conan House in Ross and Cromarty. She's described as a tall woman dressed in green with a withered face and a malignant scowl. She was said to leap out of the water and grab a man and a young boy and then proceed to drown them. This is the only historical reference to a female Kelpie in Scotland. Now, I know what you're about to ask. If all of these Kelpies are male when they come ashore, then why do most recent depictions and paintings show a beautiful woman? Well, that would be because of this guy, Thomas Mellow. He took the story of the Conan House Kelpie, of the beautiful woman dressed in green with the scowling face, and instead drew her as more of a water nymph. He wanted to reinvent the idea of the Kelpie, and the easiest way to do that was with the gender. Then, immediately following Mellow, in 1913, Herbert James Draper continued on with the idea of this beautiful water nymph with his painting, The Kelpie. So even though it doesn't really make any sense according to the Kelpie lore, artists have always loved drawing naked women. My quote for the month of June is, "Take me to the ocean, let me sail the open sea, to breathe the warm and salty air and dream of things to be," by Erica Billups. And I thought this was such a beautiful quote, especially because not only does it tie to summer and the sea, but it talks about dreaming and what things could be. And I thought that was a great mindset going forward. Let this be the month of dreaming. And now I'm just using a basic white gel pen to add little ripples in the water and to add some stars behind him. You can't really see because the background's not dark enough, but they're there. The cover page is now finished. For my schedule page and going forward, I decided to stick with just simple seaweed in a mixture of different colors. You'll see me going back and forth with more olive green or some more browns, just trying to give it some different variations, but very gently. I want it to all blur together as if you were seeing the seaweed under the water. And the seaweed actually brings me to my next fact about the Kelpie, and that is that nobody can actually agree on its environment. Some folklorists believe that it is able to live in any freshwater body of water, such as rivers, streams, or the lakes. But others believe it is only found in rivers and streams. And then there's another group of people that believe that Kelpies are the saltwater seahorse and their cousins, the ushkia, are the freshwater seahorses, and to not confuse those two. As for me personally, these are shape-shifting spirits. I think they can go wherever the heck they want to go. If you're interested in adding information about this mythological beast into your grimoire, I've made a 2-page spread just for the Kelpie. It's available for download now, along with the rest of today's Bujo layout. If this is your first time here, then you may not know, but over on my blog, I have a grimoire section of my website, and if you sign up for my newsletter on the home page, you'll receive a code in your email. You enter that code into the grimoire section on my page and you get unlimited access to free printables every month. You can download them and print them as many times as you want. All I ask is that you please don't pen anything that is in my password protected section onto Pinterest. I felt that the schedule title was a little too plain, so I decided to make a box around it, and even that's not enough, so I start to make squiggles. And you'll see that I come back later and I add even more squiggles to it. I just was not happy with this page. For my habit tracker this month, I'm going back and doing my elemental powers. And this is inspired by Beth and Beyond. She does an elemental life operating system. I don't do her exact system. It's, like I said, just inspired by her. If you're interested in the ELOS, then I would highly suggest checking out her page. She has a whole playlist for it. But for me, I use these more as like just inspiration for my habits. Like each habit is inspired by one element, such as fire is creativity and passion, and water is, very introspection and emotions. and I pick a habit each month that I want to focus on that fulfills that requirement. And just to give you guys like an idea of some words and adjectives that you can pick from, I've made a whole grimoire page just with some descriptions of the elemental powers to kind of help you out if you're interested. As an example, for me this month, you'll notice in the water section, it's all about emotions, community, and connection. Well, I'm an introvert, so I have to put a goal down for me to at least attempt to go out and hang out with friends, or I'll forget. So for me, that would be my water habit for the month. This system kind of acts as a limiter to me. It really makes me focus in on just a couple of goals, because otherwise I could go to 10, 12, 14 goals, and that's too much. When you have too many goals, you kind of spread yourself too thin, and it doesn't really make it a conducive habit. By narrowing in your focus to 6 or less, you're more likely to keep those habits. I tried to make this page as simple as possible without any decorations, so you can save this page, and in the future, if I do a different habit page and you prefer the elemental habits, you can continually print this one out and it'll match with all of my future layouts. Sorry for being a little late this month. I normally like to post my videos the Friday before the first of the month, but my husband and I decided to do a day trip and go to Umbria, Italy. We specifically went there because we wanted to see the wildflower fields of Monte Siblini, but unfortunately we were a little too early. They hadn't bloomed yet, but it was still a very nice visit, and we got to walk around the city of Perugia, which is like a university city here, and it was overall a really nice trip, but that did put me a little behind. For our astrology this month, June 11th is when the full moon is going to be in Sagittarius. Now, Sagittarius is a very compassionate, honest, and independent sign. So think about what you would like to be gaining from this sign all the way until June 11th. So what kind of goals or powers or just emotional empathies would you like to gain from Sagittarius? And then as soon as the full moon passes on June 11th, you're going to start thinking about what would you like to let go of this month. We're going to have our new moon in Cancer on June 25th. So up to the 25th, so between June 11th to June 25th, you need to be processing and letting go. Cancer is a lazy sign. It's a moody sign. He's a little pessimistic crab. So maybe let go some of your moody and more emotional aspects, or do some shadow work and find out why you get so moody and pessimistic. Or maybe it's your laziness you need to let go of. Get off your butt, do something. The astrology page is there to help you go deep inside yourself for some introspection, both positive and negative. Just write a few sentences down that might help keep things in the back of your mind to make yourself a better, more rounded person. I actually like that my astrology page is right across from my spellwork page this month, because they can go hand in hand. If there is something that you need to do with the full moon's power or something that you need to do with the new moon's power, you can see right next to it what energies that you were creating this spell under, and maybe next month you can go back and see if that influenced the results any. This is also the last spread in my journal for this month, You'll notice I did not do a summer solstice or Letha page. If you are interested in that and you want one, you are welcome to use last year's Letha page. It is still up in my grimoire section. And now that spread is finished. If you'll join me, we'll do the full walkthrough. I hope you enjoyed this short but sweet little layout of the Kelpie horse. My favorite part of making these videos is being able to share stories with you. If there was any pages that you really loved, just leave me a comment below. Or if there's any pages you'd like to see me add. I know I kept it kind of short this month. I hope you have a wonderful summer and I hope you get out there and enjoy the sunshine. Leave me a comment below and let me know of all the fun things that you're planning on doing, or if you just plan on being a homebody and snuggling inside under the air conditioning. I can totally understand. Any comments you leave really help my channel and help me get more views and share my video to more people. Please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Love you. Bye.